and welcome to Gardening with the Gardeners, a podcast where we discuss our favorite plants, gardens, landscape design, and all things horticulture, with a touch of our crazy homestead lifestyle thrown in.
I'm one of your hosts, Matthew Boone Gardner, a horticulturalist, landscape designer, and fourth-generation owner, operator of Boone Gardner Landscape.
And I'm Hope Gardner, Matt's wife, a horticulturalist with our local county extension office, as well as a landscape designer with our family business. And together, we make up Gardening with the Gardeners.
So, episode number 10.
Yay! Yeah.
We're sort of back on schedule a little bit.
Kind of. We've had a few curveballs
Still
thrown.
some more curveballs that continue.
It's winter.
It's
Just
been-
expect all the curveballs.
The snow's still here,
Yes.
although we finally got to 50 degrees today and it melted some.
Did we get to 50?
I think, yeah, at least 50.
That's exciting.
Yeah, but
Because we've been in the teens and 20s for so long.
it's been awful. But if you listen to our last podcast, you knew I was having knee trouble. So I did have the knee surgery 10 days ago
Yeah.
and had to follow up with the surgeon today. Things are doing good. Getting more mobility, getting more and more around. But obviously I've been doing nothing but mostly laying up and elevating it and icing.
And I've been out on the farm.
And you've been, again, doing all of it. Well, except for Lily's been helping with the big animals in the back.
She has occasionally gone out, and she's been really good about taking care of the big animals, breaking up the ice, getting big chunks of ice out of the troughs so there's room for the animals to be able to drink.
Yes.
So
their
yeah,
horse
I
and
mean,
all
I
that.
haven't done it completely on my own, but it has been a change
A
of
rude
routine.
awakening.
I am not a winter person.
You're not a morning person.
I am not a
So
morning
this is a double
person.
whammy because you got to do it before you go to work. You're supposed to be at work normally at 8 a.m.
Yes.
at the extension office. And so she's having to get up like 6:30 or 6. I don't know.
6.
And then you are getting outside at daybreak.
I do
guess.
wait. Yeah, I wait till the sun doesn't peek out, but I've got the colors. And I will say on some of these mornings, I have a much better appreciation for sunrises because we have had some of the most spectacular reds and purples and just colors as that sun is getting ready to come across the horizon. And it's really been enjoyable. I have finally figured out how many layers to wear, how many different hats to put on, how many pairs of gloves to have on. So once I finally get outside, it's not miserable.
As long
It's
as you don't-
cold.
As long as you don't slip and hurt yourself.
Well, and in my earlier ages, I did snow ski, and there's a definite difference between the powder snow and the ice that we have here, and I now better understand also why people wore those snowshoes in the winter months
Oh, yeah.
because powder snow is really hard to walk in and carry buckets of water, bags of feed, things like that. So I have a little trail that I have stepped down. I have a little, kind of a walkway.
Mashed down, yeah.
Yeah. And so it has, as it's gotten warmer, it has turned to ice where it starts to thaw during the day and then it gets really cold and freezes at night.
So now your powder has become ice.
Now my powder has become ice again. And so last night was taking some bags of feed out because I knew I wouldn't have time this morning. And I was like, oh, yeah, I did a couple little slides and slips. And so it does present its own challenges, but
Yeah.
we're making it through.
Be extra careful tomorrow morning because after this, a lot of this thaw is going to refreeze at night, I'm sure.
Yeah,
So.
and that's what's really it's tough to remember or to remind yourself when we're so happy about these warm weathers and the beautiful sunshine today, and it feels like spring and everybody's getting excited, and then it's going to get below freezing and we're going to have ice in the morning. So be careful out there. So
Yeah, and I had my first. Well, I went to the doctor's office, drove there myself, and then had my first big outing with because the horse and the goats and the donkeys were out of hay. I mean, we've been trying to extend it for as long as possible. I got hay out there before the snowstorm came, but then
you took hay out the Thursday before your surgery on Friday. Yeah. So it's been.
And yeah, so they were way past due, and so I had to get up. So I drove your vehicle because you took the big truck out because I had to take your car today because I couldn't get in the big truck.
I'm a big truck driving mama. No, it is a big truck for me.
And then, well, yeah, because my main F-150 is in the garage, right? They're getting serviced. So then I drove your Explorer back to the truck garage and had to kind of had my crutch as a cane, but I had to like go through the garage, go open the truck garage, start the one truck to get the tractor out, and then climb up in the back of the big John Deere, not the back, climb up into the John Deere tractor. I'm a little bit out of it because this is the first time I've been doing anything for over a
2
week.
weeks,
Yeah,
3.
so I feel like I'm
Yeah.
exhausted and whatever. But yeah, I was able to do it. It was a little hard because it's my left leg. So it's like driving your automatic is fine, but the tractor has a clutch. And so I had to use that several times. But I went down to Mr. Patterson's farm that we get our hay from and his big round bales, and super guy. Got to talk to him for a long time. He's always just the sweetest guy, just a font of information of Oldham County history.
Yes, he does.
And lore and knowledge, and yeah, old farmer himself, worked at Ford plant for years, but also grew up in a big farming family, tobacco, hay, cows.
And he's got daughters that are kind of carrying on and helping him now with the hay.
Yeah.
Which we're very, very appreciative
We're
of.
very grateful. So I've run back and forth and got 6 bales a day. It took a while. They're close, but on a tractor things are slower, obviously. And so, yeah, I'm a little worn out from that, but it was my big adventure. The horse and the donkeys and the goats are very happy now. So,
Farm life never stops.
No.
It doesn't matter how bad the snowstorm is or the ice or whatever. The animals still have to be fed. The animals still need to be watered. And so everybody like glorifies, it must be so nice out on the farm. It is.
It is.
On a beautiful day. And then you have
It's
winter.
a double-edged sword, like we always say.
And then you have winter.
Well, and
Yeah.
like right now, I'm sitting here. You might hear me shuffling around, and we always try to be professional and not make too much noise. But I'm icing my knee as we're sitting here, because yeah,
Yep.
I wanted to go up and elevate, and Hope's like, "No, we got to do a podcast." I was like, "Yes, we do. We need to do a podcast."
Yeah.
We
You
gotta
make
get
me
it."
sound like I'm the constant slave driver.
No, I was there with you. I
We're
was feeling guilty.
trying to stay on task.
We're trying to stay on schedule.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yep.
So you had a great idea, since we just talked about kind of winter care of outdoor plants and kind of preparing for the storm or after the storm effect. Maybe talk about houseplants a little bit.
Yeah. So the last podcast was kind of winter care for outside plants. And why don't we do winter care for inside plants? So, yes, it is, I guess, February now, but there's still a lot of things to kind of consider. And
Tips to remember. And
Yeah.
Yeah. Houseplants have become hot again. Like
They
for the
have.
last several years, they kind of get back in. I feel like they kind of fell out of fashion for a while. I mean, obviously we have always liked them and people who are into plants like them. But as far as pop culture, where you have like young teenagers, like our kids and stuff.
They've definitely taken like a resurgence.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Lily with her Monstera craze when she
Oh
was
my
making
gosh,
the jewelry,
yes.
all the Monstera leaves and
So I admit that my heart probably lies more with outside plants.
yes.
And so in the summer
too.
months, I forget about them because
Yeah.
I'm too busy
That we
outside.
we both do.
This is the time of year that I start paying attention to my houseplants because I can't be outside. And this is not really the time of year that plants need a whole lot of attention.
Exactly. So it's almost like a lot of times we're saying sometimes it's better to have less care, and so a lot of our tips are going to be kind of like, okay, lay off this, lay off that. You don't
Yeah.
have to do a whole lot for them, but there's things you do want to do.
Well, they don't go dormant like outdoor plants, but they do
They're not as actively growing.
decrease. Yeah.
Yeah, because our houses are colder, they're drier,
The light is a lot lower.
they're low, a lot less light.
Yeah. So, and the one big problem, and I know that we're going to go into it, is just, how dry everything gets with the heat
Oh
in the
my
house.
goodness.
We do too.
Yeah, it makes me want to get one of those whole house humidifiers because it's been so dry this winter in particular.
And it's really hard on the plants.
It's hard on my guitars too.
Yes, you're constantly watering your guitars.
well, not literally, but yeah, the little
Yeah, the
humidifier
humidifiers.
thing.
So that kind of leads us to the very first tip is to decrease watering. That plants don't need as much water when they're not growing as actively. So go ahead and decrease the water. You
Yeah.
don't have to water maybe quite as much or quite as often, but make sure that you check those plants before you water. If it's close to a heat vent, yes, it may actually need more water. But if it's not, if it's just in, on a table, check that soil to make sure that it's dry before you water.
Yeah, and I mean, if they're in, and we'll get to this in a second. It's another tip, but a humidity, if they're in a natural place, like in a bathroom, we've got several houseplants in our bathroom, they're getting natural humidity, and that's great. But as far as like you're referring to, is actual water on the root, the pot itself,
Yes.
the root surface. So yeah, like you said, it's great to actually let that dry out. I mean, some people say, nearly dry out. We pretty much say dry out completely. And that way it just reduces the chance of fungal growth and other kind of bad things happening since the plant's not as actively growing.
Well, and a lot of plants don't like to have wet, what we call wet feet
Yeah.
or wet roots. They don't want their roots sitting in water. And if that soil, if they're not actively taking water up out of that soil or that soil's not drying out, then you do have a chance of having wet roots, which sounds kind of funny, wet feet. But when those roots get, just too wet. So,
And obviously there's different plants are different, but these are kind of general rules of thumb.
yes.
Some things like pothos can sometimes take a little bit more water, or spider plant, but you still want good drainage.
Yes.
So-
That is important.
And also if you're trying to, if you're rooting a cutting, it's something different. So if you're taking a little pup off there, a little piece, and you're sticking a glass of water, obviously that's a different kind of thing. But
Yes, it is. So, as we just also mentioned, there is less sunlight during the winter months. So you have to be really careful because a lot of those plants, will still need sun, and the natural amount of sunlight has decreased. The sun is lower, and it's
days are
not as
shorter,
long.
sun's lower on the horizon. Yeah.
So you may have to increase sunlight, which is maybe moving it closer
To a sunny
not
location.
touching a window. You don't want the leaves touching the glass because that glass gets really, really cold.
Cold,
but-
and it's funny, you can get burnt. You can get foliage burn on the tips or your leaves from
Yes.
either cold windows or if they actually get so much heat from the magnification to the window too, right?
Okay, yeah. But grow lights, you can always supplement with grow lights if you need to. I do a lot of grow lights when I start seeds, but sometimes I will use a grow light if I know, especially like my orchids and things that like some more sun. Maybe I'm not getting enough for them. So,
This is the first year you yeah, I know the reason because you've been busy doing everything outside, but you're like, yeah. And you're
I don't-
like, normally
the first year that I don't have seed trays everywhere.
seed trays, grow lights, blah, blah, blah. And then you're like, oh, we got to start potting up our dahlias. And I was like, really? You're like, all right.
I know it's almost dahlia
I'm like, you
time.
were just putting those to bed.
I know, but it's getting very close.
I cannot believe we're already in February. It's just
I know.
crazy.
But I will say I have a new house plant that I'm very, very excited
Yeah, this is
about.
cool. Tell our audience about your little guy. It's cute.
So I was gifted. Some of the master gardeners went down to Western Kentucky, and when they came back, one of them was very gracious because I didn't get to travel with them. That they had a vanilla orchid, just a cutting that they received down in Western Kentucky, and so they did not have the appropriate light or ways to kind of, the good environment for it. So they gifted it to me, and I have it, and I'm very, very excited.
Tell them exactly how you did this because this is cool. You made a little project out of it.
I did, and I'm very excited about it. So I got some cork wood. And
This
it's
is all stuff you ordered off Amazon.
I got it off Amazon, but you can also
yeah.
go to
Local garden center or
or a pet store because a lot of times they'll use that cork
or would
wood.
Hobby Lobby have it? Something like that maybe?
I'm not sure. I haven't checked them.
Okay.
But a lot of the pet stores will have it for like reptiles and things to climb on.
For terrariums.
Yes.
Yeah.
But I attached it with some sphagnum moss and wrapped it. It's best to use like fishing line. I didn't have any readily available, but I did have some hemp cord, so I tied it up with some hemp cord. And so you just keep that sphagnum moss moist around the roots. And then I have it hanging in our shower. So it gets lots of sunlight and humidity.
Yeah. It's getting so it's actually able to recreate. You're able to increase the humidity because it's in the
Yes.
shower, and so it's like a little.
And I'm still, a couple times a week, I'm still making sure that sphagnum moss gets a really good wet. Not just the humidity around the leaves, but the roots are also getting some moisture in that moss. And so I'm very excited. I've got a little bit of new growth starting on it, and we'll see how that goes. I have always loved orchids, and I've always had orchids. I had a lot more when I lived in Lexington, but I still have a lot here. And I think my mom also loves orchids, and so she's got a lot. So, we do have flowering plants in the house as well.
Yes.
Yeah. But
And I think nowadays they've gotten so good with when you buy an orchid, they have the cute little tags now that tell you exactly how to take care of it. But back in the day, I don't think a lot of people knew this. They would water orchids the normal way.
Right.
But your best way we've been doing forever, and now
They've actually said not to put ice on the orchid roots because the orchid roots naturally don't grow in an environment where they would be that chilled.
Exactly.
So knowing where that plant is originally comes from and the habitat or the environment that it is native to really helps you. So if you think about, out in the rainforest or in the tropics, they're not going to have water that's 32 or less.
No, not at all.
So you do want to do.
I've always thought that was a little odd with the ice. Yeah.
You want to keep it moist but not saturated. And so, even if you do a spritzer, but you spritzer it a couple times a week instead of just all at once,
Yeah.
That's a good way to handle those orchids as well because they do want that humidity.
Yes. And so with your house plants, back to like what we're doing for wintertime, you want to avoid temperature extremes as well.
Yes.
So most plants prefer daytime temperatures between 65, 75 degrees.
Mm-hmm.
With a 10-degree drop at night. Some people turn their houses down that cold at night. That's a big dip, though.
That is a dip. But if you think about it close to a window,
it's going to get a natural.
It's naturally going to get colder because it's colder outside that window.
Yeah.
So you're going to get some of that fluctuation depending on the location of the plant. It's very important to not have a plant real close to a door that opens directly outside where they're getting really cold blasts of wind, or right in front of a heat vent. So when the heat comes on in the house, it's not getting a real hot, dry, temperature fluctuation as well.
Exactly. So yeah, temperatures below 50 degrees. Did you already mention this? Or rapid temperature? You said rapid temperature fluctuations, but that cold blast can harm tender tissue. So
well, because they're not used to it, they don't have the capability to handle that fluctuation as quickly. So they do need a little bit of tender love and care. But like we mentioned earlier, because they're not growing, you also don't want to fertilize them.
Yeah. So don't water as much.
Nope.
Don't fertilize at all.
No, don't fertilize at all. Wait until spring. So it's that natural cycle, that they would experience in the spring when they start growing. If they need some fertilization, that would be the time to do it.
Yeah. Wait until March or April.
Yes.
This is one that we often forget to do, but increase air movement.
So if anybody was to visit me in my office, you can tell that I am interested in plants.
So you do it in your office.
I do have.
You don't do this at home, though.
No, because my little oscillating fan is at the office with me.
You've got them really packed in there too.
I do have them packed in.
It's cute though. It looks like a little jungle in there, but so the fan really in this situation is really important because you got so many packed in there.
Yeah, I do need that air movement just to keep things from getting stagnant. And believe it or not, that air movement also helps to decrease our little friends that are that
it reduces
hitchhike.
pest pressure.
Yeah,
yeah.
People don't think about that, and they don't correlate, that air movement with pest problems. But a lot of times, especially in the wintertime, I've had a problem with what's called mealy bugs, and they look like little pieces of cotton. They definitely get on my orchids a lot. But with that constant air movement, it's not as much of a problem. Just a little tidbit: if you do have mealybug problems, get a Q-tip and a little bit of rubbing alcohol.
Yeah, rubbing alcohol,
and just dot those mealybugs with that alcohol.
Kind of wipe it down.
Yep, it helps to eliminate those. So you don't want to have your fan on so high that it blows everything away. You really just want to try to simulate
just a
gentle
natural
breeze like outside. And that's why I like the oscillating ones, because there's a little bit of breeze and then it's not
constantly blowing on the whole time. Yeah.
Back and forth. So, yeah. So that's, a little tip.
So reduce watering in the pots.
Yep.
Don't fertilize.
No.
If you, like we said earlier, if you can, this is one thing you can increase is humidity. So if you can increase your humidity level, that's great. It's hard to do sometimes, especially in larger homes or bigger space rooms and things.
The easy way of doing that is if in your drainage container underneath your pot, put some little gravel.
Yep.
Some little pea gravel, and let that pot sit on the pea gravel. That way your roots have good drainage, but then there's also some humidity created around that.
Exactly, because it's evaporating.
Yes.
And then placing the plants closely together, like in your office situation.
Yeah.
that kind of those little clusters kind of help create a little microclimate, and as the plants transpire, that'll release more humidity to each other too. So
It does.
and that's kind of what we've done with our son's, cranes over way at UK. But he's got quite a collection of houseplants in his room right now, and you've got them all packed in there, kind of doing their. He's got the best sunlight, the best window for sunlight in the whole
Yeah,
house.
he does. He has definitely the best light for window, just natural light. And with him not being there, I don't have to worry about closing the drapes at night. So they do get a little bit of fluctuation, a light fluctuation in temperature. They get really good sunlight. And then I make sure and have a little container on the heat vent of water. So it naturally tries to kind of evaporate and help a little bit as well. So.
And don't worry if you have a few leaves yellow or fall off, especially, and like this is a little later in the season especially when you first brought them in. And ficus are probably the easiest ones to tell a story about, because ficus are notorious for, if you look at them or move them, from here to there,
Yes.
they'll sometimes just go and just drop all their leaves.
All their leaves.
And they're kind of the more of extreme version. But it's very natural when they come in to have almost like a little bit of autumn shedding and kind of lose some dead leaves and kind of, if it starts too many leaves fall off, then you want to kind of pay attention to see what's going on.
Yeah,
Like
you
more
want to
than
make sure that a third of the leaves,
Yeah.
no more than that.
Yeah. But it's natural to have some. The house plants don't always look their best in the wintertime. Let's put it that way. Sometimes.
No, they're tired.
Yeah. So depending on the
They
variety.
don't hibernate, but it's kind of like everybody wants to just kind of curl up with a blanket and
Yeah.
Eat a couple extra bags of chips or what have you. Get a little fat and sassy, and then get ready for spring.
Binge on Netflix.
Yes. Yep. So we did kind of hit pests when we talked about air movement and various things, but this is the time that we're not outside looking at our outside plants, so maybe spend a little extra time, look at the leaves, look underneath the bottom side of the leaves, and just check for pests, because this is the time that they're going to be probably the worst as far as for houseplants go, because everything is tucked in there.
And that, like you said, turning the leaves over.
That's where most of the problem.
Because a lot of times, if you don't think about looking, and then all of a sudden it gets really bad really fast. Whether it's like you said, mealybug or aphids, and because you just didn't check the problem, and all of a sudden it's like you let it go for a while, and oh wow, it's taken off.
Some people do use a systemic when they bring them from outside in the summer months, like in the fall, they'll put a systemic on them before they bring them in the house.
And it's effective. Now it is a chemical.
Is.
I mean, it's a chemical. It's a chemical pesticide, but it is very effective.
Yes.
To treat the plant and then let it get into the system, and it helps them combat future outbreaks. But
yes.
I know a lot of times you obviously we both like more organic ways.
Try to, yeah.
So you do obviously the alcohol. Now the alcohol and the Q-tip is more of a. It's not preventative or systemic.
No.
It's actual. Once the pest is present,
yes,
you're
not going to do that anytime before.
No,
but right.
I guess preventative. You might want to. Could you use a little neem oil maybe or?
I have to say from a extension standpoint, I'm going to say read the label, because any product that you have to use it according to the label. As we always say, the label is the law. So make sure you read that label to see if it is labeled for use on whatever plant you're going to use it on. And it may just be, a house plant type of thing, or it may specifically say, which plants.
That's her answer for saying she's never used neem oil inside her house plants.
Exactly.
I know. I haven't either, but you've used it on everything else.
I use it outside all the time.
I was like, it's your go-to for everything. I was like,
outside. Yeah, I've never used it inside. So, okay.
Oh, one thing we talked about aphids, and so if you don't see the insect, you can look for the honeydew, and you explain to people what the honeydew is.
So the aphids are a sucking insect. So they actually have this little mouthpiece that's kind of breaks the surface of the leaf or the stem, and they go in and they suck out all of that the nutrients that are going up and down the phloem and the xylem, and so they'll
actually cause a little stippling on the leaves. You'll see like little dots, and that's what usually aphid problem. Yeah.
Well, then that liquid goes through their system.
Yep.
And out the other side.
In there.
And it's a very sticky, sweet, and it's called honeydew.
It's what they excrete.
They excrete that, yeah.
And it's like this weird little sticky, and it usually comes out kind of a clearish yellow-orange color, but then I think it picks up dirt, and so it ends up looking dirty.
It can, and then you can also get
Oh, the
like a
fungus.
sooty,
The sooty
mold
fungus. Yeah, sooty mold. Thank you.
that can be kind of a secondary problem.
Yeah.
From those, not so much sooty mold on the houseplants.
Not
I
as
don't
much.
think,
It's more
but that
azaleas
is
and-
outside. That's a problem. So when you're looking at the leaves and you're just checking for any little stickiness on there, it's also a good idea to go ahead and just wipe those leaves off, just kind of dust them, because remember that with this low light, we need to have a nice clean surface so that you've got the most photosynthesis going on.
Good point. Yeah.
So dust those leaves off, check the underside for mites or any other little pest. You can just use a soft, damp cloth with a little bit of soapy water just to clean them off. They do have some sprays that are specifically for houseplants that kind of have a little shine to them that kind of make your leaves look nice and clean and shiny. I don't feel that that's necessary, but that is out there if anybody wants to use that type of product. But just, a little bit of soapy water, very mild soapy water, just to rinse those off and keep them nice and clean.
Yes.
Okay. So the last thing to reiterate is don't fertilize. Yep. So, when we can't go outside and play with our happy plants, we can create an environment
Happy
inside.
plants. Are you Bob Ross all of a sudden?
Yes, happy little trees. No, but I miss my plants outside. And with these, cold winter days with lots of snow around here, I don't get to see them.
No.
But that leads us to lots of catalogs coming in.
Oh, yeah. You've been, I think it was last night. I was like, what? I went upstairs and iced my knee, but I fell asleep while icing it. It was bedtime. And I was like, where are you? And I called you and you're like, I was like, why are you not up here? It's late. You need to be in sleep.
Yeah.
Because I know how early you're getting up. It's not your normal bedtime or wake
No.
time.
But I got a new catalog come in.
And she's down there looking at the plant catalog and making notes. I'm like, uh-oh. I just hear the money symbols.
Yeah. Cha-ching, cha-ching, cha-ching. Yep. But I have big plans for this coming summer, this next growing season. So we'll let you know all about it.
Well, thanks for listening, and we'll catch you next time on Gardening with the Gardeners.
Fantastic.
Thank you for listening to Gardening with the Gardeners. Please subscribe or follow to get new episode updates, and please help us get the word out about our new podcast by dropping a rating or review. If you have any questions on landscape, gardening, or horticulture, please send them to gwtg@boonegardener.com. That's Gardening with the Gardeners. So gwtg@BOONEGARDINER.com. Don't forget the gardener has an eye. Thank you for listening to Gardener with the Gardeners. We'll see you next time.